Hello, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. I'm so excited. Today is a day that we get to celebrate women, all women, everywhere in the world. And every day, I have the pleasure of being able to connect and chat and support so many amazing women. And that's why today I wanted to have a colleague, a friend, a mom, an entrepreneur, and everything, former attorney, turning her skills into matchmaking now, and Parnes, right?
Parnes, close, yeah.
Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Happy International Women's Day.
Same to you.
Oh my goodness. Tell everybody where you are.
I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's like 81 and sunny and warm, probably very different from many places in our country.
Yes, we had the biggest dump of snow in Toronto, but now things are a little clear. It's sunny outside. But today we are talking about we're going to provide a little bit of relationship and dating advice for single. Now I'm saying alpha women out there, and I think you know who you are. What do you think about the phrase of being called alpha women? And do you think that some people consider that derogatory, or they're proud of it? Like, what do you think about that?
I think these days labels in general can make people feel sort of funny. So I think there'll be some who embrace it and then others who feel that it's, inappropriate or, whatnot. But I think it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about first of all for people who say what is an alpha female, right? It can mean so many things to so many different people, men and women equally. I'm pulling up a blog here from the Science of People, and the term alpha female is thrown around casually, but what does science have to say about it? First of all, alpha female, a woman who has embraced her leadership ambitions. She's talented, highly motivated, and self-confident. So female alphas embrace their confidence, and this helps them lead others. Now, alpha females tend to believe in her own ability to achieve that anything is limitless. Their self-identity as an alpha female, they have confidence that's contagious for the most part, which leads others to respect her as an equal. She showcases leadership characteristics. She's recognized by others as being impactful, and she has extremely high ambitions. And so that's what the context of what we're talking about with alpha women. And now the thing is, a lot of times they associate alpha females to alpha males, which are masculine. So Anne and I want to talk a little bit about where being an alpha woman can be a hindrance in the dating life, and where some women who identify as alpha can also be slightly more masculine in the workplace, and then they take that masculinity and it carries with them in the dating space. So, and if you're listening, if you have questions about that or comments about whether you love the alpha woman, you're intimidated by the alpha woman, or anything like that, this is a conversation that we want to have. So, Anne, you are also a coach. Can you share with me a little bit about some of the challenges that a woman, an alpha female, would have in the dating context?
Sure. So I think that when we talk about masculine and feminine energy, it really doesn't apply to gender and sex. It's just characteristics that can be applied to both. And we have both sides typically, but there seems to be a place that it's better to lead with sort of the masculine energy that's more about leadership and decision making and logic, and which is all these are all wonderful qualities to have in our professional environments. And then there's the flip side, there's the feminine energy, and that's the one that's more about intuition and connection, emotions, openness. So those are all qualities that are really wonderful to bring into dating, and the ones that make relationships much more balanced, I would say.
Well, and check this out. We've got a couple of people. First of all, Dawn says, hi, Carm on LinkedIn. Hey, Dawn, love you, girl. Miss you, girl. She says she's proud. And we have a gentleman, Marco, who says alpha women have too many expectations. Okay. And Marco also says now Oh, we're getting into it. There's a lot of alpha females these days. They're going to remain single until they're old and gray. Oh my goodness. Roll.
That's harsh.
We're here to have dialogue. We appreciate all opinions. I'd love to hear more about why Marco feels that way. And though this is a challenge, right? This is the challenge about that. By the way, happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But to the comment, there a gentleman is saying they're going to remain single until they're old and gray. Now, why is that? Let's talk about some of the cons of being an alpha female, perhaps in the dating environment. I can't speak for Marco, but I can certainly say that there are a fair share of men that have stated some women that they've met with sort of that alpha quality attached to the masculine quality, where the gentlemen themselves don't feel as if they're needed, right? So part of the challenge is that in partnership, you don't really need somebody, but both men and women want to feel as if they're a contribution. They can enhance a relationship versus, if you date a woman that says, I got it all, make my own money, drive my own car, buy my own groceries, do my own thing, I don't need a man. I'm certainly not saying all women say that. For some men, that it could almost make them feel as if, well, if you got everything else, I guess you don't need me. What do you think about that, Anne? And what are some of what advice could you share in that context?
Yeah, I think I hear the same thing all the time. And what I tell my clients is you might not need somebody, but do you want to be loved? Do you want to love? That takes a certain amount of softness and vulnerability just to open yourself to that, to saying that, my life is better shared with another person, the right person, of course. And so, yes, you may have a career and finances and travel and all of these wonderful things. But at the end of the day, how great are they when you enjoy them alone? Isn't it better to open yourself up and be a little bit more vulnerable so that you can have a partner that you can share the good things with, the bad things with, and just all of the things that really add that extra element of richness to life?
I love that. I'm almost thinking Marco should join us here in the conversation. He's like the head guy speaking on behalf of men. I Now, one thing about being an alpha female, I'll tell you this, there was a survey done on singles in America. Match.com is one of the largest, most renowned sites. They started in, I believe, 1995. I entered the dating business in a call center in 92. And 3 years later, the online dating emerged through match.com when were we still in dial up? It feels like we were still in dial up at that time. That being said, there was a recent survey that men had stated that over 36% of men stated that they were more attracted to confident women and they were more attracted to ambitious women. So here's the sort of catch 22. They're definitely attracted to ambitious women. They're attracted to those that are on their own. But then how far is too far, right? When it comes to you being attracted to one, and then can you actually date one or be with one? There's one thing to be attracted, and there's another thing to be in relationship with somebody like that, right? What do you think?
Right. And I think that, you can be confident in a feminine energy. Just because you are embracing that femininity does not mean, in fact, I think that brings us more confidence when we can feel good in our own skin and about, the qualities that make us unique and women. I think those bring a lot of confidence that do attract men. So I don't think it's, it has to be one or the other. Certainly, there's a different type of confidence, I guess, like an ability and a skill in your career that might give you that confidence. But I think confidence is sexy in relationships too, just in a different way, by embracing, your communication skills, embracing
Mm.
the empathy, embracing all of the wonderful qualities that are unique and authentic to you, that you should be proud of.
Yeah, and for men who make this statement, there anybody who makes a statement, so and so is intimidating, or I'm intimidated by, or people find me intimidating. Number one, I don't think anybody can intimidate you when you're coming from a place of your own confidence. In fact, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to anybody anyway. And if you're intimidated by someone, um, this is different than the context of like someone's actually being aggressive and they're trying to dominate or they're trying to take over. I'm talking just from the fact that just because a woman is successful or she earns more money or she has a higher education, lives in a bigger house, drives a nicer car, whatever it is, whatever that is that's intimidating, you can't really be intimidated when you are fully confident in yourself. And that is one thing that women, that I want to remind women of. It's not necessarily you that's intimidating. Yes, manage your behavior. Are you condescending? Are you showing up saying you're better than someone or being judgmental or saying things that are derogatory, that are not encouraging, right? Look at that and see if that's the case. However, if you just happen to be around other men that have low self-worth, low self-confidence, or are not really secure within themselves, guess what? You're going to be intimidating to anybody and everybody at all times. So I do want to celebrate the women out there, the alpha women out there that are in leadership roles, that are crushing it at work, that are crushing it in their home life, that are making homemade meals and cooking and driving the kids and doing all the things. Shout out to the single moms out there, married moms, all the moms, everybody. I just really want to share that you can't be intimidating to the right person. The right man, the right person is going to embrace your alphaness, but they also like the femininity, right? If you're going hard all day, leadership, 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 and there's no time for you to play a support role to a partner or allow someone to support you, right? As a leader, you get a lot of support, but who's supporting you? Sorry, as a leader, you're leading people, but who's leading you? At what point can a man contribute to you and add value? I think that even though you can, and I've heard this from a lot of advice from a lot of different coaches and mentors and other of our peers in the love space. I forget who it was, but there was a woman that said, she's fully capable of opening that jar of spaghetti sauce, but I always love going like, I can't reach that, honey. Can you get to the top of that? And yes, I can. Or, hey, the driving, because I hate driving. Okay. Like anytime a man can drive, like just do that for me. And I'm so appreciative. I would love our alpha women and masculine, those who identify with a lot of masculinity, to allow yourself to have vulnerability, allow yourself to practice gratitude, to acknowledge the men in your lives or the women in your lives, depending on, who you're attracted to be a support, to help you so that you don't always have to take the lead position. What do you think about that, Anne?
It's funny because I hear that from a lot of my clients who, fall into the definition that you read about alpha females, is they're like, I'm tired of making all the decisions at work. I just want a man to plan the date, ask me out, do all of those things. I want to take on that more feminine role. And that's the point, is if you do allow that more feminine energy to come out in dating, that allows the man to step into a more masculine energy. And it creates this great polarity that, enhances the chemistry and the passion and all of those things, because I think that balance is really important. And you don't, there are times when maybe the man is more in his feminine energy, and we're talking heterosexual relationships, obviously. And it's up, the woman might take on the role of, okay, let me help you solve this problem. Let me support you. Let me, bring my logic into this. But I think that it is really nice for women who are in those powerful positions and making these decisions all the time to allow the men to come in and play the role that they want them to, not just say it, but actually take a step back, get more in touch with their softer side and let those men step up and do what they say they want.
Yeah, the fact that us ladies can do everything, it's nice to allow the person. You don't have to be. Here's the challenge with a lot of guys, particularly following, the Me Too movement feminism, they don't want to offend a woman if they open the door, right? They don't want to offend a woman if they do something that might seem misogynistic. Like I do empathize and feel for some of the men out there that are unsure how to behave because they don't want to appear as being aggressive, right? Nowadays, even approaching a woman can be difficult. If you are an alpha female and you want to be in your feminine, you may want to look at that body posture. You don't want to be in a place where you're constantly coaching or telling somebody what to do or how to do it. It's tough when you are leading in a day job and everything that you do is about delegation and ordering people around and telling them what to do, and then at home you don't have to, but it's nice when you can take off that suit, take the heels off, relax a little bit, meditate. I'm giving myself my own advice, Anne. You get that, right?
I do. I hope you take it.
Oh my goodness. This conversation is for me. This conversation is for all, female leaders out there that we are celebrating and that we love, and we would love more, men to participate and to ask us out and to not be intimidated, because at the end of the day, we are, men and women, and we do want to partner. So it's about understanding what's required in a relationship. One thing I can also say that alpha women possess is they have high emotional intelligence. And then I'm sure you can relate with me when our, female leaders coming to us who are single say, I really want a guy with a high EQ. He knows how to communicate, not afraid to express themselves, including the vulnerabilities. If you're showing up like you never have a bad day, who can relate to somebody who never has a bad day? Who can relate to somebody who never gets upset? You've got to be able to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions, and also be in a space where you can communicate the things that are difficult to talk about, including, the opportunity to just listen. We like to talk, right? We like to talk. So be a good listener. Communication is a lot about how well you listen and how well you allow others to contribute. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and so I think if you kind of take away instead with the communication, instead of sitting there and listening to problem solve, right, masculine energy, and you just listen to understand with the empathy that the feminine energy gives us, I think that makes for much deeper communication, much deeper connections, and just overall a better relationship between two people.
Yes. And one other advice that I would say, oh, hey, May. Oh my gosh, I want May to be in this
Hi.
conversation. Happy International Women's Day. We have May, Matchmaker May, on Facebook with us. She's fantastic. Next time we'll have you on. I will say this as well. When it comes down to being an alpha female and allowing yourself to be expressive and vulnerable, like they are strong, we are strong, but it's okay to ask for help. I think one of the things that men really appreciate is, even though you can handle it, like ask for an opinion, ask for support. And this was the same example of, where can you allow a man to contribute to you, even if it's as simple as opening the door, pulling open your chair, or booking the reservation. Honey, why don't you make the suggestion? Surprise me. Give them something to do that you can do, but you don't have to do it all. I think that's the issue, is doing it all, and over time, you can become resentful. I'm talking from personal experience, and not asking for help, and the partners are willing to help, and sometimes they're like, well, I don't know where to fit in. And I think this is a great opportunity for women to take a look at where can they ask for help, or not even a sign, but just make these. I'll give an example. I interviewed Grant Cardone and Elena Cardone. These are a billionaire couple, both very successful in real estate. And for them, one of the things that they do to keep their marriage working, they treat their marriage as partnership. so that each of them have responsibilities in the relationship. When it comes to the kids and primary decisions, that can be Elena's job. When it comes to trips, vacations, and that could be Grant's job. When I say job, I mean they're primary roles, because guess what? Each of them can make decisions that are final for every area of their life. But when it comes to partnership, there are certain areas that would be great for you to decide, okay, you know what? I will take care of finances, savings. You can take care of paying the bills. I will take care of, planning our retirement, and you can take care of planning our funeral. I don't know, like, so that it doesn't fall into one person's lap. I think it's really important that you divide those responsibilities. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that communicating those expectations is great so that nobody can read each other's minds. So having that understanding is really helpful. So it's not like a you versus me mentality. People with young babies, the baby cries, and it's like, somebody has to get out of bed and get that child or whatever it is. It's just nice to know that you're on the same team, you're working together, you've got a plan, and also just showing gratitude and appreciation for that other person for everything they do. Because for women also, but for men, they say that is the number one thing that they really need, is that appreciation from women. So I think that if you can authentically recognize how much they're doing, how much you've asked them to do that they're doing, that would go a long way also.
Absolutely. Well, Anne, is there anything else that you want to share as we celebrate International Women's Day? I want to say shout out to my clients, my peers, my family, my mom, her mom, rest in peace. Like any woman who's ever, contributed to me, who's inspired me, who's impacted me, even women who've hurt me. Because guess what? They're all lessons. Every woman that I've ever interacted with has provided me with a lesson, with education, with an experience that makes me who I am today. So I'm really just so grateful to all the women in my life. I'm grateful to you, Anne. I love what you're doing for women in your community. How can people help you, or how can you help people in your area for those who don't know who you are?
I echo all of your sentiments and have so many amazing women who I'm grateful to. And if anybody wants to get in touch for coaching or matchmaking in the New Orleans or Gulf Coast region, you can shoot me an email at Ann, at matchnola.com. Thank you, Carmelia. I'm grateful for you also.
Oh, thank you. You'll expect to see more of us. We are going to be talking about different topics weekly. I think that, if we see a lot of Marco, thank you for your participation. You stayed on with us, got a lot of opinions there. We will take a look at everything that you had to share and learn from that. And I just really think it's important that we be careful about, men do this, women do that. Like, there are times that we'll speak as coaches in generalization, but it doesn't apply to everyone. And I think that's why when you're working with a coach, they'll get to know you one-on-one, your unique situation, and give you the advice that you need based on your personal experiences. So I highly recommend you reach out to Anne if you are in her region. You can reach out to me if you're in my region. And again, thank you for being here with us. Bye, guys.